Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Camden and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. This video is going to be more of a chill video. I'm just going to be sitting here and talking to you guys. It's been a while since my last anxiety update and I just wanted to make this video more for myself to look back and see how far I've come. And I totally understand if you guys are not interested in watching this whole video. You definitely don't have to. Like I said, they're just more for me and for looking back on to just watch my story unfold and see God's hand through it all, even though it's really hard when you're in it. Hopefully this does bring some encouragement to some of you guys though, and this is really hard for me to talk about just because I never really look back. Like, I don't see a point in it because I don't want to feel those feelings associated with those days in the past, but ultimately they're what have brought me to where I am today, and they don't have to be burdens. I can look back and I can see where God was in all of them and how blessed I truly am. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm just gonna get started and get into talking about my anxiety update and where I've been since my last one. On my phone, I have my talking points, so I'm just going to be looking at those throughout the video in case you see me looking down or something. Okay, so on my last video about my anxiety, I was talking about how I was probably going to have to go on medication. It was just super scary for me. I did not like the idea of having to take something in order to feel freedom and feel normal again and not have all those horrible panic attacks. It was just so hard to accept that I needed help, more help than any natural remedy could have given me. You know, any encouragement from others, anything like that. I needed a lot of help, and that just was so hard for me to come to terms with. But I ended up going to see a psychiatrist. I got on a medication. First time I took it, oh my goodness, it was so scary. I still remember it. First of all, I didn't know how to swallow pills because I don't take medicine. If I can avoid it, I do not take medicine. And this is another reason why it was so scary for me. I had no idea how to swallow this pill. My mom put it in an applesauce pouch because one of our friends said that's how she taught her daughter how to swallow pills. So we tried that and I was so scared. I held my mom's hand. I was crying. After I finally swallowed it all night, I was worried about the way I was feeling. I thought that it would give me bad side effects and it was so scary. But after we got over that hump and I started taking it consistently and I got over the idea of this is gonna hurt me, it's bad, it's harmful. It's hard to remember exactly how I was feeling other than the scary parts, but I know I did start to get better. But anxiety is such a roller coaster. One day it'll be fine, the next you're having a super bad panic attack and it just comes out of nowhere and catches you off guard and you feel like you've lost all your progress. So I remember that happening a lot when I first got on medication, which is totally normal, and it takes a long time for you to find your right dosage, the right medication in general. So yeah, it was super scary for me. I was still not 100% better. I was still feeling anxious and I did occasionally have panic attacks, but my psychiatrist said most of the time it's the opposite. You'll get rid of that anxious feeling you just have before the panic attacks, but for me it happened the opposite way, which, oh my goodness, was such a relief because those panic attacks, so horrible. I just cannot even describe how they feel. It's so hard to put them into words. They're just absolutely horrible and I never wanted to feel them ever again. So once that relief kind of set in, I felt so much better just knowing that I was actually getting somewhere. I think a lot of the time it just feels hopeless and you just give up. You're looking back and you don't see progress and you just see all the negatives. Hi, baby. And you just wonder, am I ever gonna get better? Is there hope for me? So yeah, when that realization set in that I was actually on my road to healing, I was just so thankful. So anyways, yeah, I went up on my dosage because I was still not all the way better, like I was saying. Once again, when I went up, I was so terrified to take the medicine, even though I'd been on the medication for a while. Hi, Nolan. Did you wake up from your nap? So yeah, it was super scary once again. There were times that I remember I felt so low and so hopeless, and I was just talking to my mom because she also has anxiety and she's been through this whole journey of finding that medication that works for you. And oh my goodness, it is so long. Like, it's just such an emotional roller coaster. And yeah, I just remember those times where I felt so hopeless. I just wanted to give up. I felt like I would never get better. And my mom was telling me, like, she's been there and she's felt that, but you can't give up, because if you give up, you're another step behind and you're not going to get to the finish line. You're not going to find that medication or dosage that works for you. So I continued to take my medication. Also, around this time, I was starting to meet up with a therapist. Before I talk about like my personal experience, I just want to say that a therapist is someone I feel like you really need to click with, and that you can just openly talk to and that you feel comfortable with. And I don't think the first therapist you ever talk to is going to be like that ultimate connection where you feel like you can just pour out your heart. And you know, not every therapist's methods are going to work for you. So in my personal experience with the therapist I was seeing, she was amazing, so sweet, so nice. I loved her, but I just really didn't feel like I was getting anywhere when I was talking to her. It was nice to have someone to talk to, but honestly it just brought up like feelings I didn't want to feel again. So I really did not want to continue on with that, since I felt like it was just a roadblock and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I stopped seeing her, and we wanted to find a new therapist, but we still haven't found one yet, just because of everything that's happened with coronavirus and all that stuff. We just wanted to wait until it was safe. But I'm probably still going to be on the search for a new therapist that I just kind of click with better, if you know what I mean. Like, my therapist was great, nothing against her at all. I just think that you kind of need to find someone that you really click with and you can just open up your heart to, right? So there's a lot more ups and downs along my journey. It's something very common. Hey, I didn't video. It's something very common and something that happens very often with anxiety. It's such a roller coaster. I don't know how many times I say it, but it's so true. You never know when that drop is going to come. So I kept going up on my medication. I reached, I think, like the highest I could go for my age. So our next option was to switch to a different medication, since I wasn't getting fully better. Like, I was almost there, but I still wasn't there yet. This was like just before quarantine started, so it was like a really bad time. But surprisingly, I did perfectly fine like when all of this started, and I was not expecting that. I was expecting to just go downhill, but that didn't come until like later, I think, when everything started to set in and my body was like, oh, okay, so everything really has changed and everything is different and it's not going back to normal. Then I kind of lost it and I got in a pretty bad spot again. I don't know how to explain it. It's just been so many ups and downs until like where I am now. Yesterday I actually had my first like really bad panic attack in a long time. And when I mean bad, like I don't mean just like a small one. It was really bad. It lasted for hours. It left me with all of my normal like side effects. I was exhausted. I had to take a nap afterwards, and it really takes a toll on your body. So the rest of the day I felt literally sick. I'm perfectly fine though. I definitely wasn't sick, but your body tricks you into that. It was so disappointing. I was actually getting better, like some days I really thought, and then another day would come and it was like, oh my goodness, when is this gonna end? And so you just feel like giving up, because you're like, if God hasn't saved me, like how is there any hope left? So now I want to share some things that I've realized about myself, and one of those things recently I've been noticing so much is that I attract like all of the stress around me just like a magnet, and I keep it all inside of me until I just lose it and I explode and it all comes out and I'm just a mess and I just have a breakdown. And another thing is that with anxiety, I feel like it's such an overlooked thing. Like, yeah, everyone feels anxious sometimes, but there's definitely a difference between feeling anxious and having an anxiety disorder or a panic disorder, and you just feel like nobody understands, and you try to validate yourself and get the understanding of others when it's just an unrealistic expectation because nobody can understand unless they've been through it. But what I'm realizing is I see my struggle, and so does God, and He's the only one that I need approval from.